People who have been on game shows and won. What did you really win and how did it help your life? When I was about 10, there was a game show on Spanish TV where you would call in to play the game. My mom and I got through one night and won a grocery store certificate for 100. We were so excited as this was big money in the 80s. We get to the store, by bus, and do our shopping. We get to the register and let the checkout person know we won the prize, and she tells us the manager isn't there and that we would need to come back another day for verification. My mom explains that we arrived by bus and how it is difficult to make the trip again. I remember feeling so sad. Thankfully, another employee at the supermarket stepped in and let us take the groceries home. I still remember the feeling of relief when he allowed us to do that. I was on a kids' game show in the late 80s with my brother. We won, but lost the grand prize trip to Disneyland in the bonus round, and were given a $500 gift certificate to a toy store instead. $250 each for a toy store was absolutely incredible for a couple of kids, especially in the 80s. I still remember that shopping trip. What did you end up buying? My brother bought a Nintendo and a couple of games. I bought a ton of Cabbage Patch stuff lol. My brother was on Pyramid in 77 or 78. He got a lifetime of Rice-A-Roni. It was a case of like 48 boxes every year for like 3 years. We got a letter that the show was going off air and out of the Rice-A-Roni business. Cut us right off. P.S. My wife said it was a show called $25,000 Pyramid. That's why when I see these lotteries you get $1,000 a week or a lower lump sum, I take that lump sum instantly. Don't trust anyone to be around for life. Lol. My grandmother was queen for a day. It's an older game show. She won a new living room set. Pretty nice for the times. I've heard of this show, but never actually got to hear/see it. The premise was that you went on the show and basically told the audience about your hard times, problems, etc. And at the end of the show, they'd award the person whose tale garnered the most applause using an applause meter. That person would win queen for a day and get fabulous prizes. I'd imagine it was more about who told the most compelling story than who had the worst life. My aunt was on it early 60s after my grandma died. She won a date with singer Del Shannon and a year's supply of RC Cola. Fun fact, you get $300 if you get called down to contests row on The Price is Right and don't make it to the stage. Really? I thought you got parting gifts. Yeah, so I actually went on the show just before COVID hit and right before the showcase during the commercial break the answer guy, I don't know his name, but not Drew Carey, came over to the contestants row and told us we all get $300. Wife made it to contestants row in around 1990. No cash prize then. She ended up with KFC, Spice Island spices and some type of electronic dictionary. I won the top prize $500 on a quiz show called Inquisition. This was around 1999. The check arrived right before my car registration was due, which was helpful because I had just lost my job. I remember that show. The Inquisitor was peeping creepy. Haha, yeah. The room it was filmed in was so small. I won the showcase on The Price is Right. It was the spring break episode, so it was only college students. It was my senior year of college. Winning a new car and a bunch of other stuff made the last semester of college awesome. It's been 5 years and I still drive the car. So I guess it's changed my life in that I've never had car payments. What were the taxes like? Had to pay tax on the value of all the prizes as if it were income. Luckily I hit $1 on the big wheel and a nickel on my bonus spin and won enough cash to cover taxes. Lamau, damn you lucky. My high school drama and speech teacher was the friend someone called for a phone a friend option on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, back when Regis was still the host. The guy who called him shared a portion of the money with my teacher, like 20-30K, and my teacher used the money to adopt a baby. Holy crap. That's an amazing game show winning story. Think about that kid now, their current family situation hinged on that answer. I won $125,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire about 20 years ago. After taxes, I still had about $80,000. I paid my car off, got a computer, was able to quit a full-time job I hated and take a more enjoyable part-time job, and went to college. Now I work at a job I love that I wouldn't have if I never got a college education. R.I.P. Regis. This story is amazing. You did everything right with the winnings. Not really a game show, but for those who remember Bozo Circus, I got to play the grand prize game, every Midwestern child's dream. How did it help my life? For every bucket you hit out of 6 you get a bunch of toys/gifts. I think I got to bucket 4 or 5, they're much smaller in person, and we drove home with a car full of toys, games, and Bozo hot dogs. As a child, it was pretty epic. Edit, thank you for the silver. It makes up for missing bucket 5 and 6. The 7-year-old in me is very jealous. My girlfriend and I were on Shop Till You Drop and won big. I still use the dishes every day. The trips? It was a long time ago. I won was decent. I paid the taxes on my winnings with a check before leaving the lot. It took months and months for all the deliveries to come in, which was weird. I sold off some of it, used a lot of it, and can't find the episode anywhere. How did it help my life? The producer became a friend of ours and helped me propose to my game show partner girlfriend, and we're still happily married 15 years later. Oh my gosh. I want to help you find the episode somehow. I watch Supermarket Sweep followed by Shop Till You Drop religiously every afternoon. My mom won a trip to Vegas by calling in about her worst day ever on a radio show. They were giving away a weekend for 2 in Vegas to someone that had a really bad day. My mom's day started off with my dad getting into a car accident totaling the van, our only vehicle at the time. Then when she got the rental car, she did some grocery shopping and accidentally locked the keys in the trunk after she loaded the groceries in. She had to wait over 2 hours for a guy with his arm in a sling to show up to unlock the trunk, and the key snapped off. They had to call a locksmith to open the trunk, and that took another hour. All the perishable groceries were no good anymore because they were in the trunk for 3 hours. Then when my mom was finally on her way home, she hit a cat. She then got home and had my brothers and I help her take in what was left of the groceries when my older brother closed the door, locking all 3 of us out of the house. Our neighbor had to help us break back into our house by prying open a window and helping me through so I could go unlock the door. This was back in 1991 or 1992. My parents had a wonderful vacation, and 9 months later had my baby brother. If it weren't for that series of random wild events, your baby brother may have never been born. Right? It's a fun story we love to share with his girlfriends. 1-700 getting a question right on a radio call-in show. My parents gave me 100 of it and kept the rest. At the time I was annoyed. As an adult looking back, it was because we were flat broke. 100 was an insane amount of money to a 12-year-old in the 90s, and the rest went to crazy things like us being able to eat. So overall not too bad. Oh, and when I was 20 I got to stand in a glass tube as a bunch of store vouchers for my local mall zoomed around me, and anything I caught I kept. Shoved them all in my shirt and walked away with a few hundred worth. Man, I always wanted to do the tube game and grab up the cash or vouchers. Pretty sweet. I'm sorry to hear you didn't get to keep your full 700, but I hope it helped you and your family through a tough time. I was on Let's Make a Deal in 2016 and I won a new car. It was actually perfect timing because my old car was on its last legs and I had started saving for a new one. Then I won a new one and the money I had saved paid the fees and stuff. I won the car in August but didn't actually get it until November when the episode aired. But they drove it to my apartment and it had me sign the deed, and it was all pretty painless. I had heard rumors throughout life about winning on game shows costing you and things like that. I guess because I already had some money saved for fees and taxes, it ended up really painless. Got a brand new car, worked $16,000 for about $3,000 in fees and stuff. Totally worth it and would totally recommend it. Here's a tip. If you ever go to one of those game shows that pick contestants out of the audience, they have a producer briefly interview everyone, usually in groups beforehand. And as long as you're lively without being theatrical, and seem interesting without being crazy, you have a good shot at being picked. When the producer was interviewing the 20-member slot of audience members I was grouped with, he asked everyone their name and what they did and one interesting fact about themselves. And one random guy who desperately wanted to be on TV started doing the worm there in the interview area. You could immediately see on the producer's face that though he was forcing laughter, that's definitely not what they're looking to put on TV. Loose cannons are a big no-go. An old friend used to hold the record for Plinko. He's a nutcase. The audience lapped that speep up huge. And yes, he really is that weird IRL. It's a shame he wasn't more excited about it.